Assalamu alaikum. This will be my microphone replacement for now because I can't really bring my other one actually. And okay, my name is Amr and this is my English assignment video. My topic is a little bit of an odd one. It's pretty debated and I kind of wanted to take a completely different stance on it, try something new, And so I'd like to pose the question.
Are games art? While this question is still debated to this day, for me and many others who grew up with video games, the answer is a resounding yes. In this video, I want to explore what makes up a game and how these elements contribute to games as an art form. In video games, the narrative, cinematics, music, and everything that could traditionally be considered art is what game developers call the motif, while the rules of play, controls, and everything else that makes up a user's experience are what's known as the game mechanics. Most games tend to emphasize one of these elements over the other, though some manage to blend them quite well. Fighting games, a personal favorite of mine, tend to lean more on their mechanics due to their competitive nature, leaving little room for motifs. And so you end up with weird scenarios like, why can this young teenage girl juggle this 170 kilogram robot in the air like he's a football? Because Tekken gives all of its characters access to juggle combos. This type of absurdity is something unique to video games and open up one's eyes to the possibilities one may have when designing a game. Now I'd like to delve more into two games that exemplify how this blend of mechanics and motifs can create what I personally deem to be an unparalleled art form. Signs of Sojourner is a roguelike deck building game that tells a deeply personal story through its game mechanics. You play as Ria, a young woman who takes over her late mother's caravan trade, traveling between different cities in the game's world, meeting different people, all for the sake of obtaining unique goods to sell back home in order to help sustain her hometown. What in my eyes sets Signs of Sojourner apart is how well it manages to weave its narrative themes directly into the game's mechanics. Conversations are the heart of this game, and how you go about having one is through a card game, where each card has a set of personality traits imprinted onto it. And so, the player must match these traits with those of the NPC in order to keep the conversation flowing, with any mismatches causing a miscommunication between the two of you. Throughout your travels, after every single conversation, the player is asked to modify their deck, exchanging one of their present cards for one that more aligns with the traits of the person they just had a conversation with. This naturally also means that while you might grow closer to the people you meet throughout your journey, you unfortunately begin to lose your ability to better communicate with your childhood friends back home. This mechanic reflects on the game's central theme, how experiences shape who we are and how relationships evolve or falter because of it. Honestly, what just boggles my mind about this game is how the game's mechanics mirror the narrative. Miscommunication isn't just a fail state, it's a story in itself. When a conversation ends abruptly due to repeated mismatches, it feels poignant, as though you've just lived through a real instance of human disconnect. You didn't just lose in a battle, you failed to communicate with someone. This is all the more apparent with a scenario that happens later on in the game, where an earthquake occurs and the citizens of a town are all depressed and distraught. There's just something about it, a sense of helplessness that you can't do anything for these people, not even hold a conversation to comfort them, as you yourself haven't experienced what they've gone through. This seamless integration of mechanics and motifs creates an emotionally resonant experience that feels deeply personal. One that truly exemplifies the artistic potential of games. And now, let's move on to my next example. At first glance, Dark Souls 3 is a punishing Metroidvania known for its well-made gameplay mechanics, astonishing interconnected world, and incredibly difficult bosses. Though that's not all there is to the game. Dark Souls 3 is an incredible example of environmental storytelling, a form of narrative that doesn't rely on cutscenes or dialogue, but instead invites the player to uncover its secrets themselves. Throughout your journey, every item you pick up contains within it a cryptic description offering clues about the game's lore. For example, A bone used as a token by a faction within the game gives a little insight into their beliefs, and a shield, once wielded by a great warrior, clues us in on the loss of that warrior's loved one. NPCs also contribute to the narrative, though still in more subtle and cryptic ways that have you piecing everything together yourself. Take Sigurd of Katarina, for example, whose questline involves subtle choices and hidden locations. Missing these details doesn't stop you from finishing the game, but finding them creates a richer, more personal experience. This approach puts the player in the role of both participant and historian, giving them the agency to uncover a story that feels uniquely theirs. It's storytelling that could only be achieved through an interactive medium, making Dark Souls 3 a prime example of games as art.
Hello again. Yeah, I'm filming the intro with the outro. Kind of just tight on time right now. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed the video so far. I hope you've actually managed to understand what I meant with the whole different perspective. I wanted to show how people who've grown up with video games their entire lives actually see it. I wanted to kind of show you the artistic potential in video games, at least in the way that we see it ourselves. But yes, thank you for watching the video. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope I managed to get my point across with it. And yeah, have a good day. Thank you.